Your fear isn't accidental, it marks weakness. You bleed presence daily, surrendering authority, while disciplined men silently replace you without warning. Most will leave now. The weak cannot endure this framework. If this disturbed you, you are not ready. If it sharpened you, take action. Subscribe, engage, and study the path. Watch the next lesson, internalize it, and prove your discipline. Only the silent, the disciplined, the unbreakable remain. This is the code, this is the path. You are either becoming it or you are fading. Chapter 1. The collapse of the civilian lens. You were taught to see fear as something human, something to manage, something to work through. That teaching was not neutral. It was a civilian lens, designed for compliance, not survival. Under that lens, fear becomes an emotion. Under a warrior's lens, fear is a diagnostic signal. It tells you exactly where you are unprepared, undisciplined, and exposed. The problem is not that you feel fear. The problem is that you have been trained to respect it. In modern life, fear is accommodated. It is discussed, validated, normalized. Entire systems exist to help you sit with it, explain it, soften it. This is not compassion. This is pacification. A man who negotiates with fear becomes predictable. A predictable man becomes manageable, and a manageable man is never sovereign. Bushidō does not treat fear as an enemy to be defeated emotionally. It treats fear as a blade held to your throat by reality itself. You either sharpen yourself or you bleed. Look closely at your behavior. When fear appears, what do? You speak more, you explain yourself, you justify your position, you seek reassurance, you leak intent. Every one of these reactions signals weakness to the environment. Not because people are evil, but because hierarchy is always watching. Humans are predators wrapped in manners. They do not need to consciously analyze you. They feel it. Presence is not charisma. Presence is the absence of internal noise, and fear creates noise. The silent warrior understands this early. He does not attempt to eliminate fear through comfort. He eliminates fear by removing its cause, lack of readiness. When a samurai felt fear before battle, he did not journal about it. He trained until fear had no argument left. Fear only speaks where discipline is missing. The civilian lens tells you you are enough as you are. The warrior lens tells you you are unfinished, and the world knows it. This is where the collapse begins, because once you see fear correctly, you can no longer indulge in excuses. Anxiety is no longer a personality trait. Insecurity is no longer an identity. They are evidence. Evidence that your internal hierarchy is broken, that emotion outranks code. Bushidō reverses the order. Code first, emotion last. This reversal is violent to the ego. That is why most men reject it immediately. It demands silence when you want to explain, stillness when you want to react, restraint when you want relief. But this is the price of presence. Presence is not projected. It is enforced internally. When you walk into a room with unresolved fear, you are already speaking without opening your mouth. Your posture negotiates. Your eyes scan for approval. Your body asks permission. Others may not consciously notice, but they respond. Opportunities close. Respect thins. Authority drifts elsewhere. This is not injustice. This is selection. The silent samurai code begins here, at the destruction of comforting lies. Fear is not a villain. It is a verdict. And every time you soothe it instead of outgrowing it, you confirm that verdict as accurate. The civilian lens will try to return. It will whisper that this is too harsh, too extreme, too old. That voice is not wisdom. It is resistance. And resistance is the sound of an identity about to die. In the next section, you will see exactly how fear is used by the world. Not to harm you, but to rank you. Once you understand that fear is a verdict, not a feeling, a second realization follows, more unsettling than the first. The world does not punish fear directly. It rewards those who are not ruled by it. This distinction matters. You are not being attacked, you are being bypassed. Most men believe failure comes from bad luck, unfair systems, or hostile people. That belief protects the ego, but it blinds the strategist. In reality, life functions like a quiet battlefield. Movement is constant, selection never stops. Those who hesitate are not crushed, they are ignored. And being ignored is more dangerous than being opposed. The civilian lens teaches you to interpret silence as emptiness. The warrior lens knows silence is signal suppression. When you react emotionally, you broadcast internal disorder. When you over-explain, you announce insecurity. When you seek validation, you surrender rank. None of this requires malice from others. The hierarchy adjusts automatically. This is why presence feels rare. Presence is expensive. It requires internal order strong enough to contain fear without expression, not denial, containment. A samurai does not pretend the blade is not sharp. He simply does not flinch. Modern culture trains men to discharge emotion immediately, speak it, share it, process it aloud. This creates relief, but relief is not power. Relief weakens containment, and a man without containment cannot hold authority, leadership, or danger. He becomes safe. Safe men are tolerated, not followed. Bushido does not ask, "How do you feel?" It asks, "What must be done despite how you feel?" This is the first severing from the civilian identity. You stop asking whether fear is justified. You ask whether it is useful. Most of the time it is not. Fear only has value when it sharpens preparation. The moment it spills into behavior, it becomes sabotage. Notice the men who seem untouchable. They are not louder. They do not dominate conversations. They do not rush to correct misunderstandings. Their power comes from withheld reaction. Others project onto them because there is nothing to grab. Silence creates gravity. This is not mysticism, it is behavioral physics. When you stop reacting, others start adjusting. They speak carefully, they fill the silence. They reveal intent. The disciplined man gains information without asking. This is why silence is feared. It exposes imbalance. The civilian lens tells you that calmness is a personality trait. The warrior lens knows calmness is an outcome of preparation. You cannot fake it. Your nervous system betrays you under pressure. Only repeated exposure, discipline, and self-command create real stillness. This is why Bushido is not a philosophy. It is a filter. It removes those unwilling to suffer internally to gain external control. Most men want power without discomfort. The code denies them both. At this point, something in you should resist. That resistance is not random. It is the old identity sensing extinction. It knows that if you accept this lens, there is no return to comforting narratives, no more explanations, no more emotional negotiation, only results. The silent samurai is not fearless. He is finished arguing with fear. In the next chapter, you will see the exact psychological machinery that turns fear into social rank, and why disciplined restraint always wins. Chapter 2. The machinery of fear and hierarchy. Fear does not exist in isolation. It exists inside systems, biological, social, and hierarchical. Once you understand this, fear stops feeling personal and starts revealing structure. What you experience internally is being measured externally at the same time. Every social environment runs on ranking, whether it admits it or not. Status is not voted on. It is inferred. And the primary input into that inference is emotional regulation under pressure. Fear disrupts regulation. Discipline restores it. The mistake most men make is assuming hierarchy is built on dominance displays, volume, aggression, force. Those are crude signals. They work only at the lowest levels. Higher hierarchies operate on something quieter, nervous system stability. The man whose internal state remains unchanged by uncertainty is unconsciously perceived as higher rank. Bushido understood this centuries ago. The samurai was trained not merely to fight, but to remain unmoved in the presence of threat. Not because calm looks impressive, but because calm indicates surplus capacity. A man who is calm under pressure signals that he has prepared for worse. Fear betrays the opposite. It signals scarcity, of skill, of readiness, of internal order. Dark psychology names this mechanism without ceremony. Humans defer to those who appear least affected by consequence. In every group, the one who reacts last controls the frame. The one who reacts first submits to it. Reaction is admission. Silence is leverage. Notice how fear alters behavior before words are spoken. Micro-movements tighten, breathing changes, eye contact flickers. These signals are ancient. They bypass logic and go straight to assessment. No one needs to judge you. The body reports on your behalf. This is why reassurance never works long-term. You can talk yourself into confidence for moments, but the nervous system cannot be lied to. It must be trained. Bushidō did not rely on affirmations. It relied on repetition, exposure, and ritualized hardship. Fear was bled out through discipline, not discussed away. The hierarchy does not punish fear consciously. It reallocates opportunity. Leadership gravitates away. Respect thins. Influence bypasses you. This feels invisible because no one announces it, but the effect compounds. Over time, you are present, but never central. The civilian lens interprets this as bad luck. The warrior lens sees it as feedback. Here is the inversion most men never accept. Emotional transparency does not create trust. It creates liability. In environments where power matters, what you reveal can be used consciously or not. The samurai's restraint was not emotional suppression. It was information control. To control information, you must first control yourself. This is the machinery. Fear disrupts self-control. Loss of self-control broadcasts vulnerability. Vulnerability invites re-ranking. The process is automatic, silent, and ruthless. In Part 2, you will see how this mechanism shapes entire social archetypes and why most men unknowingly train themselves to stay low-ranking. Once hierarchy is understood as a biological sorting mechanism, a disturbing clarity emerges. Most men are not oppressed by the system. They are cooperating with it. They reveal themselves constantly. They volunteer weakness. They narrate their inner disorder as if transparency were virtue. The hierarchy does not need to interrogate you. You confess through behavior. Fear accelerates this confession. Under pressure, men abandon restraint. They talk faster. They justify decisions. They seek alignment. These behaviors are interpreted at a subconscious level as bids for safety rather than signals of authority. The environment responds accordingly. Bushidō treated this as a fatal error. The warrior was taught that the first battle is always internal. Lose that, and the external outcome is already decided. This is why samurai training emphasized stillness under threat. Stillness was not aesthetic, it was strategic. Dark psychology reaches the same conclusion from a different angle. Power flows toward those who do not seek it openly. The moment you signal desire for approval, you place yourself beneath whoever you are trying to impress. This is not moral judgment. It is structural. Fear makes you expressive. Expression makes you legible. Legibility makes you manageable. The disciplined man reverses this chain. He reduces expression. He limits exposure. He withholds reaction. In doing so, he becomes difficult to read. Difficulty to read creates uncertainty. Uncertainty shifts leverage. Others adapt around him, not the other way around. This is why silence unnerves people. Silence denies them data. Without data, they cannot rank you confidently. And when ranking becomes uncertain, people default to caution. Caution is respect's older brother. The civilian lens mislabels this as aloofness or emotional repression. That misunderstanding is intentional. A culture that discourages restraint produces men who are easy to predict and easy to guide. Bushido stood in direct opposition to this. It trained men to govern themselves so thoroughly that external governance became irrelevant. Fear, then, is not the enemy. Untrained fear is. When fear arises and you remain still, internally and externally, you send a clear signal. There is nothing here that exceeds my preparation. Whether that signal is fully true is irrelevant. What matters is consistency. Consistency creates belief. Belief creates rank. This is why presence cannot be faked long-term. Eventually, pressure reveals training. The nervous system speaks louder than words. Only discipline rewires it. By now, a pattern should be visible. Those who complain about being overlooked are often the most emotionally available. Those who claim to be misunderstood often over-explain. The hierarchy is not cruel. It is efficient. Bushido does not offer fairness. It offers clarity. In the next chapter, you will see how these mechanics crystallize into archetypes and how most men unknowingly choose the weaker role every day. Chapter 3. The Noisy, Weak, and the Silent Warrior. Hierarchy does not wait for you to become wise. It categorizes instantly. Every man around you, every peer, every observer, your family, colleagues, strangers in a room, assigns you a rank based on microsignals your body cannot hide. The loud, the emotional, the reactive. These are the weak. The silent, the measured, the unreadable. These are the potential warriors. Notice how most men fill silence with justification. They defend choices that were never questioned. They explain motives that no one asked about. They laugh too loudly. They gesture excessively. They betray fear with twitching eyelids, rapid breathing, or a voice that climbs in pitch under stress. This is not performance, it is unfiltered data, and it is toxic to rank. The Bushido lens recognizes these patterns immediately. Samurai training enforced restraint until it became reflexive. The warrior does not negotiate with fear externally. He internalizes it and lets it refine him. Emotion is not expressed. It is weaponized internally. Every display of neediness, complaint, or impatience lowers your invisible standing. Dark psychology confirms this through observation of social hierarchies. Humans unconsciously defer to stability and withdraw from volatility. Those who emit anxiety or overexposure are perceived as liabilities. Leaders rise quietly because they are difficult to read and therefore unpredictable. Predictability equals exploitation. Unpredictability equals authority. You must ask yourself, where do you fall? Do you dominate the room with presence, or do you beg for its attention with noise? Noise is comfort-seeking. Comfort is weakness. Weakness is invisible to power unless it is exploited. The archetypes are clear. The noisy weak, emotionally reactive, constantly seeking approval, leaks internal states, justifies actions instead of owning them. The silent warrior, emotionally restrained, observes before acting, controls information and reactions, operates according to code, not validation. The distinction is subtle but life-altering. One choice leads to passive selection, slow erosion of influence, and vulnerability to predators. The other creates presence, internal authority, and the ability to bend social currents without friction. Most men are unconscious architects of their own weakness. Every time they speak impulsively, act without reflection, or fail to regulate emotion, they teach the hierarchy how to treat them. The silent warrior is different. He teaches the hierarchy to respect or fear him without ever speaking. Silence is not emptiness. It is negotiation. It is power conserved. The weak interpret it as intimidation, but the wise recognize it as mastery. Every restraint is a micro-victory over chaos. Every controlled movement communicates authority. The civilian lens says, you must be understood. The warrior lens says, you must be untouchable. The weak seek validation. The disciplined engineer respect. By the end of this chapter, you will see why these archetypes are self-reinforcing. Once a man commits to noise, the world responds in kind. He is treated as weak. Once a man commits to silence, the world must adapt, often subconsciously, around his presence. In Part 2, we will examine how history and human nature have reinforced these archetypes, and why failure to internalize them invites relentless consequences. History is unkind to the noisy weak. Look at every society, every military campaign, every empire that endured. Those who could not restrain themselves, those who spoke too early, acted impulsively, or sought approval, were the first to fall. Leaders ignored them, opportunities bypassed them. They became expendable, not because of malice, but because structure rewards stability, predictability, and disciplined silence. The silent warrior, by contrast, thrives unnoticed until it is too late for others to challenge him. He moves through systems without creating ripples, yet his influence accumulates silently. Micro-decisions, micro-pauses, micro-observations, these small exercises of self-control compound into authority. Others sense it even if they cannot articulate it. Fear and respect are bred in silence. Human nature reinforces this hierarchy. People unconsciously align with those who demonstrate emotional mastery. Chaos repels, order attracts. Weak men unknowingly project chaos, making themselves visible targets. Disciplined men project order, creating gravitational fields of influence. This is not subjective, it is behavioral physics. Notice the predator-prey dynamic. Predators, whether colleagues, rivals, or opportunists, target signals of instability. The noisy, weak invite interference by exposing their internal disorder. The silent warrior becomes the predator, observing patterns, measuring gaps, and acting surgically when the moment demands. Silence is camouflage, stillness is preparation. Every interaction with the weak reinforces their pattern. They argue too loudly, defend themselves unnecessarily, or over-explain. Each misstep is training for those watching. You are training others to know your limits if you do not master restraint. The hierarchy absorbs these lessons faster than the weak can act, ensuring they remain below the line of influence. Bushidō codifies this as discipline, but it is timeless. Silence and controlled action do not exist to comfort you. They exist to protect you and to extend your reach. A warrior's restraint signals to others that he is untouchable, and in doing so, he moves closer to absolute authority within his environment. Observe your own behavior now. Every impulsive reaction, every verbal overextension, every emotional display. These are fractures in your presence. They inform the hierarchy how to treat you. The disciplined warrior minimizes all fractures. His internal order is mirrored externally. Chaos cannot touch him, not because he is fearless, but because he has structured himself to be impermeable. By mastering silence, the warrior becomes a filter. Only those aligned with his code gain access. Others are automatically ranked below, repelled by the gravitational force of his composure. This is the mechanism that separates passive men from those who impose presence naturally, almost invisibly. In the next chapter, we will expand the threat horizon. You will see how the weak are preyed upon relentlessly by history, society, and human nature, and why the silent warrior consistently survives while the noisy weak collapse. Chapter 4. Why the world hunts the undisciplined. The world does not pause for weakness. It does not accommodate uncertainty. Chaos does not negotiate. Human history is littered with men who were loud, reactive, and emotional, the noisy weak. And their collapse was swift and inevitable. Empires fell because leaders overextended themselves emotionally. Armies fractured because soldiers panicked. Families crumbled because someone failed to contain their impulses. The lesson is consistent. The undisciplined are hunted, not out of malice, but by design. Observe society today. The same patterns persist. The moment you reveal disorder, others adjust around you. Colleagues, peers, even friends and family, consciously or unconsciously, they treat you as expendable. They do not need to plan against you. Your own lack of control accomplishes the work for them. In effect, the undisciplined train the environment to suppress them. Bushidō framed this as a survival principle. Internal mastery first, external sovereignty second. The samurai who failed to regulate fear, to restrain desire, or to move without broadcasted intent did not merely fail, they were eliminated from competition. Their death was both literal and symbolic, removal from influence. Weakness is a marker. History hunts markers. Dark psychology confirms this. Humans are wired to exploit weakness. Those who are reactive, visible, and emotionally open signal availability, both for manipulation and displacement. Your nervous system broadcasts opportunity before you even speak. Competitors, predators, opportunists, they sense this and respond. In modern terms, this is social selection. The strong and disciplined advance silently, while the weak are gradually erased. The critical distinction is perception. Weak men misread signals as hostility, injustice, or bad luck. They internalize rejection as unfairness. Warriors interpret the same events as data. Every slight, every oversight, every bypassed opportunity is feedback, a ranking assessment. This is the cold, unromantic machinery of life. Selection operates without judgment. It rewards discipline and punishes leakage. Notice the subtle predators in daily life. Colleagues who dominate meetings, friends who undermine quietly, social circles that gossip strategically. These forces are relentless, invisible, and efficient. The moment you display internal disorder, they exploit it. You cannot negotiate with them through explanations, apologies, or overcompensation. The world responds only to the signals you allow it to read. The silent warrior, by contrast, operates in this system with precision. Fear and desire are contained internally. Movement is calculated. Words are sparse. Expression is disciplined. In doing so, he becomes difficult to read, impossible to manipulate, and dangerous to underestimate. The hierarchy recalibrates automatically. Respect flows toward him. Influence consolidates. Threats are neutralized before they materialize. This is why history favors the disciplined. The undisciplined are not actively opposed. They are overtaken. They are phased out socially, professionally, and psychologically. Their collapse is silent, cumulative, and total. Every reactive decision, every emotional broadcast, every lapse of restraint contributes to the erosion. Weak men unwittingly accelerate their own displacement. Silence is more than a strategy. It is camouflage, armor, and signal management all at once. Through disciplined restraint, the warrior ensures he is noticed only when it matters. He moves unseen, yet exerts influence, while the noisy, weak advertise vulnerability, becoming targets for exploitation and control. In Part 2, we will explore how to turn this threat into opportunity, how to implement rules of the Silent Warrior Code to reclaim influence, control fear, and reshape your environment. Understanding the environment is not enough. Action must follow. The world is not neutral. It responds to signals, not intentions. Every moment you leak fear, anxiety, or indecision, the environment adjusts. Opportunities shrink, respect dissipates, and predators, both literal and social, move closer. Weakness is never accidental. It is rewarded only with further suppression. History teaches the same lesson repeatedly. The undisciplined are always first to fall when pressure comes. From feudal battlefields to modern corporate hierarchies, the pattern is identical. Those who cannot manage internal chaos invite external domination. Observation, patience, and restraint are not soft virtues, they are survival tools. Bushidō codifies this in practice. The samurai trained in controlled exposure to fear, repeated trials, and disciplined response. The objective was not bravery as emotion, but mastery over one's own nervous system. Fear became predictable, manageable, and ultimately irrelevant to action. The warrior's presence was a shield. His restraint was a weapon. Now consider your daily environment. Colleagues speak louder, rivals advance quicker, friends test limits. These are not coincidences. They are real-time hierarchies reacting to your internal state. If you have been reactive, loud, or emotionally inconsistent, you have signaled vulnerability. The world is responding accordingly. This is the moment most men fail to notice. They think the world is against them, yet the problem is internal. The hierarchy is not biased. It is efficient. It reads signals, ranks, and allocates resources. You are not unlucky, you are unreadied. The silent warrior disrupts this dynamic. By enforcing internal order, he becomes unpredictable and consequential. He speaks sparingly, acts deliberately, and projects presence without theatrics. Every measured action, every withheld reaction, recalibrates the social field in his favor. This is not perception management, it is physics applied to human behavior. The crucial insight: discipline converts threat into leverage. Fear and chaos no longer dictate your ranking. They inform your strategy. By observing, containing, and responding selectively, you turn external pressures into tools for consolidation of authority. The undisciplined are filtered out automatically, leaving only those who respect the code standing. History, biology, and social psychology converge on the same principle. The world rewards those who can govern themselves when everything conspires against them. The weak are hunted, the disciplined survive, and quietly dominate. In the next chapter, we will codify the exact rules of behavior that allow the silent warrior to convert fear, observation, and restraint into absolute social and personal control. Chapter 5. Rules of the Silent Samurai Code. Discipline is not a suggestion, it is a weapon. The silent warrior does not negotiate his internal state with emotion, social expectation, or comfort. Every rule in the code is designed to conserve presence, maximize control, and prevent vulnerability. These are not philosophical musings, they are tactical mandates. Rule 1. Control your breath, control your presence. Every observable shift in your body broadcasts information. Shallow breaths, tension, quick movements, or restless energy reveal fear before words are spoken. The samurai trained to breathe steadily, deliberately, and silently. Calm respiration signals dominance and readiness, even when the mind calculates chaos. Internal order always precedes external authority. Rule 2. Speak only when necessary. Noise is vulnerability. Every word you release carries intent, weakness, and energy. The silent warrior speaks rarely and deliberately. Each sentence must serve strategy, not ego. If you are compelled to justify yourself, stop. If you desire approval, stop. Speaking is not a right, it is a tactical choice. Rule 3. Move without signal. Posture, gestures, and timing must be intentional. Do not telegraph your next action. In meetings, in social circles, in public spaces, every micro-expression can be read. The weak unconsciously reveal desire, doubt, and impatience. The warrior moves like a shadow, present unseen and impossible to anticipate. Unreadable movement creates psychological leverage. Rule 4. Measure, observe, withhold judgment. Predators, literal or figurative, exploit predictability. The weak react first, the disciplined observes first. Watch the room, the conversation, the energy. Each assessment is silent. Speak or act only when the landscape aligns with your strategic advantage. By withholding judgment, you control the timing and influence of every interaction. Rule 5. Internalize fear, do not express it. Fear is information, not weakness. Recognize it, map it, and let it sharpen preparation. Never allow it to leak into expression. Control over fear is control over ranking. Displaying anxiety or urgency signals vulnerability. The silent warrior absorbs fear into his body, using it to refine precision and timing. Rule 6. Prioritize presence over approval. Most men mistake approval for success. Presence is the true metric of influence. You do not need to be liked. You need to be unavoidable. Presence is cultivated in restraint, silence, and measured reaction. Approval is a byproduct, not a goal. Every rule of the silent samurai code reinforces the same principle. Internal sovereignty is the source of external authority. Discipline becomes leverage. Silence becomes weaponized. Fear becomes insight. By consistently applying these rules, the warrior ensures that influence, opportunity, and respect flow automatically toward him, while chaos and weakness are filtered away. This is not soft advice. It is strategy applied to human behavior. Compliance with these rules is non-negotiable for survival within competitive social, professional, and psychological landscapes. In Part 2, we will examine how these rules are implemented daily, through rituals, micro-actions, and the creation of an untouchable presence that enforces hierarchy silently. Implementation is everything. The rules above are only as powerful as your consistency. Discipline is meaningless if it is applied sporadically. The silent warrior treats every moment as training, every interaction as data, and every challenge as a rehearsal for mastery. Daily rituals for presence. Morning preparation. Before the world awakes, internal alignment must be established. Breath, posture, and focus are calibrated. The body becomes a vessel of control before the mind negotiates reality. Observation practice. Throughout the day, observe reactions without interference. Track micro-signals, changes in tone, gesture, and eye movement. This creates awareness without exposure, allowing strategic advantage. Controlled speech. Speak with precision. Every word must have weight. Avoid filler. Avoid justifying. Silence amplifies influence. Words are ammunition, not entertainment. Vigor integration. When anxiety or uncertainty arises, map it internally. Transform tension into preparation. Let it sharpen response rather than escape into expression. This internalization converts potential vulnerability into tactical clarity. Evening reflection. Review every action and inaction. Identify micro-failures, unnecessary reactions, or emotional leaks. Correct them silently for tomorrow. This constant recalibration prevents weak patterns from repeating. Micro-actions that signal authority. Maintain controlled eye contact. Never flinch under scrutiny. Move deliberately. Every gesture signals purpose. Pause before reacting. Timing communicates confidence and control. Respond only when necessary. Let inaction provoke information from others. Limit exposure of emotional state. Let others fill the gaps. They will reveal intent. Every micro-action, when repeated, compounds. Authority accumulates silently. Influence becomes gravitational. Fear, observed and controlled, becomes a tool rather than a trap. Every interaction becomes a test of your internal code and a silent filter for those unworthy of your presence. Remember, the world does not honor excuses. It observes signals. Weak men are measured, ranked, and bypassed. The silent warrior ensures he is always the one being observed on his terms. Discipline is not optional. It is the law that separates prey from predator. In the next chapter, we will dismantle the old self entirely. Fear, dependency, and weak identity will be purged, leaving only the Bushidō-aligned warrior, a man untouchable, unreactive, and sovereign. Chapter 6. Death of the Civilian, Birth of the Warrior. Your old self, the reactive, approval-seeking, loud and anxious man, must die. This is not metaphor. Identity is composed of patterns, thought, speech, posture, and reaction. When these patterns are weak, the hierarchy bypasses you. The silent warrior understands. Old identity is a liability. It must be extinguished deliberately, not passively. The civilian lens whispers excuses. You are fine as you are. Everyone feels this way. It's just life. These are lies wrapped in comfort. Comfort is weakness. The world rewards mastery, not familiarity. Your patterns must be rewritten. Fear must be internalized and transformed into discipline. Noise must become silence. Impulses must submit to code. Begin by observing yourself ruthlessly. Identify every micro-leak. The twitch of impatience, the rushed word, the unnecessary smile, the glance for reassurance. Each signal is a thread of your old self. You will sever these threads one by one. Nothing is sacred. Ego, pride, and habit are expendable. Only utility matters. Bushido provides the framework. The warrior's code is a filter. Honor, silence, discipline, and restraint. Apply it without exception. Do not rationalize lapses. Do not rationalize emotion. Every failure to follow the code is a betrayal of your potential. Weakness cannot be excused. It must be corrected. Dark psychology reinforces this. Identity is malleable. The mind will cling to comfort if unchecked. You're not just training behavior, you're training perception, presence, and survival. The old self will resist. It will scream, rationalize, and complain. You must ignore the noise. You must enforce discipline internally before the world respects it externally. Begin reconstructing the warrior self by adopting new patterns as absolutes. Speak only when tactical. Move only with purpose. Observe relentlessly. Contain fear. Prioritize honor over validation. These are not tips. They are laws of survival and power. Each day, repeat micro-actions until they are reflexive. Each micro-action becomes a brick in the fortress of your new identity. You are no longer reactive. You are inevitable. Presence becomes gravitational. Influence flows toward you naturally. Weakness is excised before it manifests externally. This is painful. This is isolating. That is the point. The civilian identity depended on comfort and approval. The warrior identity depends on solitude, rigor, and self-command. The old self will resist. It is the first obstacle to the new hierarchy you are entering. In Part 2, we will complete this transformation. The old self will be buried entirely, leaving only the silent, disciplined, untouchable warrior prepared to impose presence, dominate space, and act with lethal clarity. The final step is total purification. Every trace of the old self, reaction, desire for approval, impatience, emotional leakage must be removed. This is not gradual, it is surgical. The warrior does not negotiate with weakness, he eradicates it. The mind, body, and presence must be aligned under a single principle: absolute discipline. Adopt the silent warrior as your identity in full. Speak only with precision. Move only with intent. Observe constantly. Let fear, anger, and desire circulate internally, converting into insight and preparation. Each suppressed reaction strengthens your presence. Each delayed response shifts leverage. Every controlled moment broadcasts authority without effort. Understand this. The world tests the new identity relentlessly. Colleagues, friends, rivals, they all attempt to exploit traces of your old self. They will provoke, pressure, and mislead. Your responses are the proof of transformation. Do not fail. Every micro-failure is a crack in the foundation. Every lapse allows the hierarchy to bypass you again. History teaches a final lesson. Warriors are defined by what they survive internally before they survive externally. Fear must be normalized, not expressed. Weakness must be neutralized, not rationalized. Discipline is your weapon. Presence is your armor. The silent samurai moves unchallenged, not because he is admired, but because he is untouchable. By fully embracing this code, the old self is dead. You no longer seek comfort, approval, or validation. You seek only mastery, of fear, of impulse, of circumstance. Your silence becomes gravity. Your restraint becomes leverage. Your presence enforces hierarchy without a single word. This transformation is irreversible. Once the civilian identity is purged, there is no return. The warrior lens dominates perception. The world will adjust around you. Some will resist. Most will fail. Only the disciplined remain. Only those who accept the pain and rigor of the code will rise.